this is the month of my mother's birthday. She would be 92 years old if she were living. And of course, everybody, I say everybody, most everybody I know loves their mother. That's not unusual. But my mother was an unusual lady. And when I say that, it's because I don't have anything really to compare her to. I didn't have other kids' moms, or even yet, I don't have a model to compare her to. So she was truly unique in that sense. I think of her as this Lucille Ball, Mother Teresa combination character. There was this side of her that was funny, that was energetic, that was always up for whatever. And another side of her that was the kindest, most sensitive woman that you would ever meet. I remember that we had a dog named, it was back when Lassie had a TV show, and so we had a collie. And this collie was a beautiful dog, and it was everything that a collie was supposed to be. It was loyal, it was energetic, it was fun, it was all of those kind of things. But one day, our collie came up, and she was with child. And we were not aware that as to how she got that way or why she was that way. And but nevertheless, she was pregnant, and shortly thereafter, she gave birth to 5, maybe 6 puppies, of which out of that group, there were probably 4 of them that lived. And as they matured, like in a day or so, they looked exactly like boxers. Now, we knew someone that had a boxer, but we didn't know the boxer had visited our dog. But obviously, a boxer had visited our dog, because these puppies looked just exactly like this dog. And one day we were looking at them, holding them up, you know how you do. And my mother says, you know what? Boxers have short tails. They do not have long tails. And we need to get these boxers' tails cut off. And you could take them to the vet, and that was about $10 a dog, or you could do it yourself. My mother was a farm girl. She grew up on a farm. But there was this curiosity that my mother had that was almost indescribable. Not only was she a curious lady, but she would act on her curiosity, which, you know, it's not unusual to be curious, but it's unusual for people to actually act on their curiosity. And she did. I mean, if she had an idea, if she was curious about something, she would act on it. She would explore it. She would actually do something with it. And so we were talking about these dogs that look like boxers, and how boxers had short bobtails, and that we needed to cut them off. Well, who was going to do this, and how were we going to do it? She said, I grew up on a farm, and I saw animals being born all the time and castrated and all this kind of stuff. And she said, we can do this. We can do this. So she says to my brother and I, she says, go out in the garage and get one of those puppies. And so we did that, and my mom had this butcher block and a big meat cleaver. And we laid one of those dogs up on the butcher block. It was maybe, I don't know, a week old by this point. And we kind of lined it up, and my mother, whack, cut off its tail, just like that. And the first one went rather well. I mean, it bled just for a moment, and then it stopped, and we took it back, and the mother dog, she kind of comforted, but it just moved on, and we brought a second dog in. And we laid this dog up there and kind of positioned it around, and all of a sudden, whack, my mother cut off its tail. But this time, it was so close to the dog's bottom that it started bleeding profusely. I mean, like just everywhere, bleeding, bleeding, bleeding. And we're like, well, what do we do now? I mean, there was no room to put any kind of tourniquet on it or anything like that. And it was just bleeding. And my mother said, go get Ed Wynn. He's the next door neighbor. And she didn't anymore get that out until she had passed out on the floor. Now you, honestly, you can't just make this up. Now, I'm probably 7 at the time, and my brother's probably 9. So, you know, there's adults in the room. So my brother goes and gets Mr. Wynn and bring him over to our kitchen. And when he gets there, our mother's passed out. There's a dog bleeding on the butcher block, and I'm just kind of standing there absorbing all of this. And my mother finally kind of gets her composure, and Mr. Wynn says, Grace, is there something that I could do to help this situation? And she's tries to explain it, but the dog keeps bleeding. And so we finally get some ice and some other things, some Vaseline, and begin to dab it on the dog's tail. And it's not long until it stops bleeding, and the little dog sort of recovers from the trauma that's happened in our life. And so does my mother. So does my mother. And we just all stood around like this was normal, that mothers do this, that this was a part of everyday life for people that live in the suburbs and have collie dogs that look like boxers. For my mother, curiosity was the door to some kind of action that took place after that. And I love that about my mom. You would have loved that about her too. Happy birthday to my mom, who passed away a year ago in December.